Happy Monday. Happy Coffee Talk Monday. Dr. Michelle coming at you. How are you? Today, I want to talk a little bit about perfectionism. This topic is really fascinating to me. It has gotten so crazy over the last 5, 6, 7-ish years. It's common in male and female, boys and girls, but where I see it really kind of expanded and blown up is with young girls. I don't think I have worked with a young girl in a while that hasn't had perfectionistic tendencies. It's scary. This feeling or this need to be perfect. What is this all about? I feel like so many of us are striving to be perfect, but when I ask people what it means, they're not really even sure. I was talking to one of my young tennis players, female, a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about perfectionism because she's really struggling with it. And I asked her, what did it mean? Of course, most people say to be perfect, to not make mistakes. And I said, where does it come from? She said, I don't really know. I asked, why are you trying to be perfect? And that's always interesting too, because sometimes people say they don't know, and then other times people say because they want to be liked, they want to be loved, they want to be accepted, they want to be the best. Well, if you want to be the best, I think you can be the best without trying to be perfect. And if you want people to like you and love you, you also don't really need to be perfect for that to happen. And then it goes back to liking and loving yourself, and then other people like and love you for who you are. Yeah. It's a pretty interesting, pretty big topic. And I just find it fascinating. I find it's one of those topics that can be a little bit difficult to change or help people change, help people to sort through, figure out. But here are a couple key things to think about when you're thinking about perfectionism in yourself or in your kids or in other people that you lead or supervise or coach. We all know that perfection doesn't exist. So it's important to remember that perfection doesn't exist. I know you know that somewhere, but geez, we lose sight of that, don't we? The other thing to really remember is that mistakes are critical. I mean, anyone that has ever succeeded will tell you that one of the reasons that they've succeeded is because they've made tons and tons and tons of mistakes. Because if you don't make any mistakes, how are you going to learn? How are you going to get better? Because if you don't make any mistakes, then things are perfect and you got nothing to learn and grow from. So let me go just a little bit further. So those are two important things to always be thinking about. And if you're having a conversation with someone around their need to be perfect, these are really good places to start. The other really important thing to understand about perfectionism is that when we're striving for perfect, it's like this thing that's out there, right? Like this esoteric, like, ooh, there it is. Ooh, there it is. Ooh, can't quite get it. Ooh, can't quite touch it. We set ourselves up for failure every day. Today, I'm going to be perfect. Oh, I failed. You get up the next morning. Today, I'm going to be perfect. Oh, I failed again. Get up the next morning. Same thing, right? Every day. And this also can go back to the conversation that I've talked about many, many times in terms of goal setting, right? Having those goals out there that are unattainable, kind of a similar thing, right? Or a good one, and I will talk about this as we get closer, New Year's resolutions. How many of you set the same New Year's resolutions every year and don't meet them? Well, goes a little bit back to perfect, goes a little bit back to goal setting. Sometimes a combination of both of those things. So perfectionism just continues to make us feel bad about ourselves and to try to strive for something that we can't ever attain or get to. So that makes feeling successful really challenging. For a lot of people, not successful, no mistakes, always winning, always getting A's, always getting the audition, always getting the presentation perfect, whatever that means. So, when you're thinking about perfect and perfectionism, all of these things are important to keep in mind. And one of the kind of fun things that I do with my clients is help them to define perfection. So a couple of thoughts about that. I'm going to get up every day and do the best I can. What do you think about that? I don't think you can do better than that. Do you? I do think we can model our day a little differently. Again, if we go back to the goal setting conversation, right? If you're setting the right, specific, attainable goals, small incremental steps, if we're staying in the process, being mindful, and we have that roadmap to the outcome. Yeah. So perfectionism right now it's kind of a killer in our society, honestly. One last thing I want to say. You know, it's funny when we see potential in people, we see potential in situations, we see potential in ourselves, right? When we see potential, it's almost like we see glimmers of perfection. Oh, it's like that shiny object, like, oh, I won, or oh, I got that A+, or oh, I won that audition, or... And then as humans, we have this funny thing in our brain that goes, well, if I did it once, I must be able to do it every time. Is that realistic for you? It's not realistic for me. I just get up every day and do the best I can. It's all I can do. I set the right goals. I try to set the right goals. And I strive towards things. And some moments work out and other moments don't work out. And then I learn from those moments and I carry on. I started to work with a colleague and we were doing some research on young girls and perfectionism. And we haven't quite finished it yet. But there's no such thing. and striving for it. Does it make us better people? Honestly, it just makes us hard on ourselves, feeling unsuccessful and feeling like we failed much of the time. And just because you make a mistake, you don't win, you don't get what you want, doesn't always mean that you failed. But in perfectionism, in that, it does. It feels that way all the time. So my recommendation for you would be to find another way to have that drive, to have that motivation. Find another way for people to like you or love you. And the first way is to like and love yourself. And think about how you're setting yourself up for success. Success is not about least mistakes, and success is not about winning it all. It's not. All right. Enough for today. I hope you have a fabulous week. And this has been Dr. Michelle. If you have any questions, comments, you can leave them below. You can always email me. Take care. I'll see you next week. Bye.